So, I have to take time to discuss Anna Camp in Scream 7, and why I feel she is the most disturbing and timely Ghostface since Jill Roberts. In the film, she plays Jessica, Sydney's neighbor. We don't really see much of her. Her presence amounts of that of Nancy Loomis, but instead of being sprinkled throughout, she really is mostly in the first act, with another small scene with Gail shortly after. I don't necessarily see this as a big issue once we're able to take in who Jessica represents in this film. In her monologue, Jessica doesn't mention Ghostface or fame or movies, much for that matter, like Ghostface have done in the past. Instead, Jessica is obsessed with Sydney, with the strength and the iconography of the final girl. Jessica speaks about being inspired by Sydney's book, Out of Darkness, but quickly shows us the twisted meaning she's made out of Sydney's words. To any other average person reading a survivor's story, one might expect that they wouldn't begin applying Sydney's survivor journey so literally to their own life. But Jessica does, and states that because of her admiration of Sydney, she freed herself from her abusive husband by killing him. This tells me that she feels that in order to survive, she must not just confront, but kill those who oppress or abuse her, much like Sydney has every Ghostface. This also plays into her psychic collapse she admits suffering when Sydney, quote, disappeared, aka when she went off to live her life post-trauma. Jessica doesn't see it this way, though. She sees it as Sydney betraying her fans, at one point even stating something to the effect of, Sydney doesn't get to have a life because her life is trauma. So what does this mean when even public true crime figures such as Sidney Prescott not only get objectified, glorified, vilified, treated as a final boss, but now also as a favorite real-life character that the killers insist never go away? Meaning, Sydney should always fight Ghostface every other year, as Jessica also comments on the frequency of Sydney's Ghostface confrontations in her youth. She expresses anger and feelings of betrayal as she further devolves into just another cynical fan of Stab. Let me explain. Up until a certain point, Jessica can be seen as a reflection of many old-school Scream fans. She understands the draw are the survivors, Sydney primarily. Jessica truly understands the franchise. She values and may even love Sydney. But where Jessica delves into toxicity is when her response to Sydney not returning to the last Ghostface attack is profound disappointment and betrayal. In a sick attempt to control and maintain a Sydney-related final girl story going, Jessica no longer wants Sydney to punch back in, so to speak. She wants to replace Sydney with her legacy, Tatum, with Jessica implying that she is training or will train Tatum to be a suitable final girl. And within that, we realize that these Ghostface aren't even here to necessarily win, per se. They're here to now make a new final girl in Tatum, and sadly, these Ghostface do win. Jessica and company did train Tatum, so to speak, with their attacks, and gave her some of the trauma they deemed necessary by killing her boyfriend and friends. They only failed in their carbon copy goal for her, as they also wanted Tatum to witness her mother's death. So why do I say Jessica is the most disturbing and timely Ghostface since Jill Roberts? Well, it's because I interpret Jessica to be an actual reflection of the Scream fandom, instead of what we got with Amber and Richie. Maybe I'll write more on them another day. But back to Jessica. I feel Jessica represents us fans who are inspired by the survivors of Scream, which is basically nearly all of us. She also represents a large group of fans that were disgusted with Sydney's removal as the lead. But she also represents a smaller subgroup who want endless Sydney-related sequels by any means necessary, even willing to see Sydney's worst nightmare come true, enduring Maureen's fate while traumatizing her daughter. But let's talk about what makes Jessica the villain here. Yes, she wants sequels, or to know what Sydney is up to, but Gail admits wanting to know about Sydney's life as well. She also mentions a lot of other in-universe people do too. So the desire for more Sydney isn't being fully demonized or denounced here. What's being demonized is the willingness to achieve a sequel by any means necessary. Let's break it down. Jessica was so distraught and betrayed that Sydney refused to show up to the Ghostface attacks in New York that she now plots to kill Sydney and replace her with her daughter. Despite her initial grievance being the lack of Sydney in the last sequel, her solution still is to punish Sydney and replace her. She even makes statements about Sydney being past her prime and being family-focused. Essentially, Jessica is letting us know that she believes Sydney is too old and too family-oriented to be a reliable final girl. Art is reflecting life pretty hard here for women everywhere. What defines Jessica's villainy here isn't her obsession with Sydney. We see victims in this film share the same obsession. It's not even wanting to see Sydney in more sequels. We see Gail allude to this as well. What makes Jessica the villain of Scream 7 is that she seeks to kill Sydney to replace her with Tatum, because in her mind, a younger final girl will always show up to the sequel. Or if we want to talk about the real-life commentary being had here, a younger actress will always be hired/preferred for a sequel. Scream 7 is a love letter to Sydney Prescott and a warning to fans that love her in my eyes. The message being, don't let your desire for more sequels forsake our favorite final girl. Well, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave some comments. How did you interpret Anna Camp or Jessica in Scream 7? What does it mean to you? How do you feel about this message to the fans that I feel is here, at least in this movie? Whatever it is, leave your comments down below.